Hi, guys. I just wanted to say this is like my fourth video because I was so concerned with the other two that I did, and I was going to air them today, just do the editing and put it out there. However, I figure let me give it one more time because I feel like, this is a storytelling. And why am I telling the story? I'm telling the stories for a foundation. My foundation is for you guys to get to know me, know my story, where I come from, what we dealt with as immigrant refugee family. You don't see a lot of refugees anymore, as we continue to just get these countries to do the right thing by its people. But for the most part, you just see a lot of border issues. And I truly believe that the borders would be a lot different if the politicians would stop using it as a political pawn. The way that we came into this country, it's totally different than how people are coming now. And it's not fair for those of us who came the right way and some that are still doing it the right way. I could talk really about anything from personal trauma to childhood trauma, bad parenting, good parenting, children, relationships. I have, like I said in my first video, I have 2 batches, and in the first one I screwed up miserably, and the second one, obviously, I did a little better. Probably because I was older. My first batch, I started having kids at the age of 15. So with this, it's just laying the foundation of who I am. I don't want to be some fake person to come here. I just want to be as authentic as possible and tell my story. You get to know me, and hopefully at some point, if this grows, you could have the double side of things. And I have a few people in mind that I would like to bring. So in the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe. This has been hashing a lot of things that I've been suppressing for so long. And I am 58 now. I'm an empty nester. So I don't know anything to anybody. And even my kids, they're grown. And hopefully, even if I say something they don't like, they could bring it up to me. I already have my brother. That's the only bad apple that I have left out there that is very upset, and he constantly is sending me, sometimes families, especially with the traumas we've had as children, he has never been able to recover, and he's still struggling till today, and he cannot grasp that I have changed my life. But that's another show. In the meantime, today I'm going to talk about the first year of our arrival here. Thank you for being here, and let's get to it. So hopefully you like my first video. So once we arrive in the United States, we live with my dad's family in Miami Beach, which now is called South Beach. The house was beautiful. It wasn't a big house, but to us, it felt like a mansion. Every little thing that was in it was new to me, even kitchen utensils and stuff like that. I knew what a plate was and a fork was, but I didn't know like a toaster or something like that. I'd never seen that before. So it was a lot of fun. My uncle and aunt had a boat, so we spent most of our time boating and just having a blast. I'm a tropical bird. I love the waters. Every weekend we went out scuba diving. We went to the Keys. It was just, again, amazing. Seeing the boats out at sea was fascinating to me. To me, that was a huge boat. Of course, we came in a 16-footer, so that was a huge boat. The Cuban adventure kept giving us newspaper interviews, and for a while we felt like a rock star. Most of what we had came from private donations, churches, Goodwill. We didn't really need it to go to the store to buy anything because, it was bags and bags of clothes that people brought to us. Now, keep in mind, back then it was no big deal because we were the first family that had come in through the 90-mile thing from Cuba in a very long time, since Fidel took over the revolution. I'm sure churches are overwhelmed now, There's just too many immigrants. But back then, you couldn't depend on the government to put a roof over your head or feed you. So we stayed at my aunt's house for quite a while. Technically, we had what people today would say is a sponsor, but we didn't see it that way. Cuban people are very proud, and my parents just wanted to build their lives and work hard and get our first place going. So my dad began learning his new trade. My uncle worked in a jewelry store down in Miami Beach, and it was right at the strip, and it was a big jewelry store. Everybody who was anybody was at this jewelry store. So my dad started that trade, um, embarked in diamond setting, but he had to be obviously an intern. And I remember him working really hard to master that skill. So the store was so famous that the Bee Gees on the Saturday Night album cover, my father was involved in doing the necklace that he wears in the albums. He was very proud of that. And obviously he started making jewelries for everybody. My brother has a beautiful necklace. I hope he still has it and hasn't pawned it. And I have my Barbie necklace. But through the years, trust me, there was a lot of jewelry made because he practiced making jewelry for us. And those jewelry helped me a lot as a single mother when I was alone with my two kids. And some of the Christmases I had to pawn some of the jewelry. But I wear now the Barbie chain because he's seeing these videos and I want him to because he always asks me, do you still have your chain? And I go, yes, I do, Dad. I never pawned that one. It's got 67 diamonds for the year I was born, which brings me to the 67 and why I chose Barbie Unfiltered 67. When you put the word Barbie, everybody has it taken. So I figure there's Barbie this, Barbie that. So I go, let's do Barbie on 67. I don't think a lot of Barbies were born in 67 or a lot of Barbies are not, especially Cubans. My name, by the way, was Barbara, but people here in school started calling me Barbie and it kind of stuck. I don't think they would do that nowadays, but back then it just stuck and it was cute, and not to brag, but I was a cute little girl, so it just went together with that. Now as an adult, it's hard to get away from the Barbie. So my dad took it upon himself to learn that craft very good. And with that said, again, that was one of his proudest moments. It was that necklace, and I had the album, and I played it over and over again. It was a lot of fun. He also made a lot of special jewelry for both my brother and I. I'm talking about scraps of gold and scraps of stuff that he would just drop in his table, and he would melt it. Again, he mastered that trade, and thank God, because he provided for us very well. Now, the government was not feeding us. For the first 5 years, we weren't allowed to apply for food stamps or any benefits. Again, you were sponsored. I believe they still do these with many families. But again, around our borders, it seems to be that everybody gets it. Well, at least when Biden was in office. My first Christmas here in America and my brother's was amazing. Like I said, coming from Cuba, you only have the Three Kings Day. They don't celebrate Christmas. And so you only get one gift. And the 24th, which what we call Christmas Eve here, that's our Nochebuena, which means the big black beans and rice, a pig outside. So we had that. We saw that for the first time. It was a huge pig. And we never seen that. I've never seen that before. So, because it hasn't been like that in a long time for Cubans. But at that point, it was a big party on the 24th. So today I know families who have worked for many years to come here legally. Even today, they must be sponsored by the families, but again, not around our borders. Meanwhile, others around our borders, for different reasons, immediately receive benefits. That's why the border situation is so complicated. In my opinion, politicians have turned it into a political pawn. And if we would allow more sponsors and families can come with sponsors, I believe that more visas would be granted and the process would be a little better than it is now. But it's very disheartening for people that come here the right way. The paperwork is exhausting to get visas. Even renewing your green card is every 10 years, and you have to pay. And families trying to follow that rule often spend years going through the process. For example, I have a friend, her family has followed the law to the T, and she has sponsored her entire mother's side of the family. Yes, sometimes people who bypass the process receive even better benefits. So why wouldn't anybody just come through the border and take? And even when they come here from another country, keep in mind that some of that money goes right back to that country. I know firsthand the kinds of people that came through that open border. I know for a fact, for years we were told the border was closed, but when you look at social media or you look in the web, you couldn't deny it. I don't know why the media was so biased. I imagine the intent is for voting and to change the census. But again, everybody has a different opinion. I know that if families here in the United States could sponsor relatives and help them get on their feet, and visas might be easier to obtain, in the process bringing more and more people as you come in, then you bring the one next, your parents, and I know children that have bought their parents and so on and so forth. Someone, it's always going to pay for that free stuff that these people have gotten. I don't want to hear it about, but it wasn't your money. All of us taxpayers are responsible for other billions that was spent on the immigrants that came through the open borders. So in my opinion, benefits are for American people who are genuinely struggling. I mean, we have a lot of vets in the streets, homeless. Anybody can fall on hard times, and you should be able to have your country be able to help you out, get out of those situations. But instead, they just opened the border and gave all that money to illegal immigrants. I will always call them that, or aliens. And if you don't like it, well, then go change the law. That's the only thing I could say. But do not tell me that did not happen because the border was completely open. And the only families that were mostly hurt by this was the inner city families, mostly the Black community, let's be honest. This is why immigration is so important. People need to be vetted. We are in a really bad situation here with the last 4 years. We don't know who's in here. They weren't vetted. I know I have my kid in Japan right now, and I told him, please just be vigilant and watch everything. If you see something that doesn't feel right, say something, do something. And my other son, my oldest, he travels a lot. I told him the same thing. This is some scary times. And remember, we don't know who's in our country. My parents actually became citizens before I did. So my immigration journey was a lot longer than that. I just became a U.S. citizen under Trump, which, by the way, I'm super happy about, just last year. Because I wasn't the best person when I was young, between the ages of 18 and 21, and I'd done a lot of things that came back to bite me in the ass. And not because I wanted to, I didn't think of becoming citizen at an earlier or younger age. It's just because I had no intentions of living the country, and I didn't need to put all that money up front. And I knew that I was going to need money because I was going to need an attorney. I knew it was going to cost me a little something. I didn't think it was going to cost me $10,000, but I knew that I have to fork out some money. So I waited till my kids were leaving college, my baby, Rachel. In 2015, when it was time to renew my green card, I told the attorney, listen, I just want to renew it. I don't need anything. I'm not going out of the country or anything. And he told me, come on, Barbie, you've been here a long time. And those charges were so long ago. It's been over 20 years. So I think I could get you your citizenship. And I go, are you sure? And he goes, yeah. And then after I gave him a couple $1,000s, everything came back. And I'll talk about that later on. So yes, my immigration took a lot longer than my parents. My path to citizenship came very late. But I'm an immigrant. I mean, I'm a citizen now, and this year would be the first year that I'm voting, so I'm super excited for that. And I never told anybody. I never got into politics, and in 2016, I didn't even care about politics. I wasn't interested. But when I saw the amount of hate that Trump got, I was like, something's up. Something's not good here. There's got to be something because everybody loved him prior to him announcing that he was going to be president. So I said, there's got to be something. So I couldn't understand the amount of hate. I saw him in The Apprentice for years. Me and my kids would watch that show just like we watched Survivor. And I was like, what is the big deal? What could be so, you just give him a chance. It's 4 years, give him a chance. But things did not go well, as you well know. The impeachments and all that crap just drove everybody crazy. So I started liking politics. And I would argue with people, and everybody thought I was a citizen because I've been here so long. Who wouldn't? But I didn't, so I couldn't vote. But I made damn sure that I turned some people and told them, even if I have to drive you, I already voted, but I'll drive you. And I would take people on the 2020 elections. That's why I was so crushed. I got like 6 people to vote red. And on the 2024 elections, I got, I believe, 7 or 8. So I always made up at least what I thought for my vote for somebody, with taking somebody. But everybody thought I was a citizen. Nobody really questioned that. So anyways, back to the story. The next episode that I will bring you, it's going to be on the Moriel. And though, if there's any Spanish people out there listening to this, that was a show on its own. But before I do that, let me get to where we landed when we got our first apartment. We landed in Hialeah. I think every Cuban lands in Hialeah. Although I lived in Coral Gables, or close to Coral Gables in Coralway for most of my school years, we landed in Hialeah in an apartment there. And we had a pool and it was very nice. Our first Christmas was there and it was a lot of fun because, again, I had never seen a pool. What the story will tell you is that when you come the right way, American people are very generous people. They will help you. But again, if you have hundreds and hundreds of people, then the government says they'll help you. But by helping an immigrant, you are taking from a taxpayer. And then I hear this a lot. Well, they pay taxes. Yeah, they do. But with a fake Social Security. And how do I know that? Well, trust me, I do. When you talk to immigrants and when you speak their language, they would tell you a lot of things. And I saw it with my own 2 eyes. They have fake Social Securities and they don't do taxes. So they think it's a win-win, but it's not. Because if you have somebody working in the family, then you have another one that's probably older that's getting welfare and food stamps and all the other stuff. So when you have a border that's completely open and you tell them that they could get all these services, you're going to have a very busy border. So again, I am with Rubio on this. Visas are a privilege. And you are coming into somebody's home. So just like you wouldn't allow a stranger to come into your house, you have to vet them. You have to make sure that you're bringing somebody that's worth and that is going to come here to work and not to commit crimes. Now, keep in mind that I did do some crimes in my younger age, but they were mostly towards me because the only person that got hurt was me. I never hurt anybody or did any of those type of crimes. This is why I could speak about anything from trauma to addiction to bad parenting, to bad relationships with your parents. I have a little bit of everything. Let's just say I have a deep, deep past. But I'm here, I'm on the other side, and I've made it through. And like I said, Cubans are very proud. And I believe that everything that I've gone through, it gotten me to where I am today. And although I didn't see it like that, And, when you're going through some tough times, you think, oh my God, when is this going to change? Oh God, help me. I know I prayed a lot for my children, for me, for my family. That would be another story. My next show is going to be about the Mariel, the boat lift. And my God. So my father went to pick up my mom's family at the Mariel. And then I'm going to show you or tell you a story about immigration that will blow your mind. Guys, thank you so much. Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Please. Thank you so much and have a good weekend.